Podstarz team podcast fans and Podstarz family members who are on the website. My special guest today is a lovely young lady with amazing talent. She's on YouTube. She's on Podcaster. She has EPs. She has songs. She does it all. She checks every possible musical box you can check. And the best one is I found out today that she has roots tied to the greatest country in the world, Canada. So, ladies and gentlemen, my guest is Chloé Caroline. Chloé, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much. That was amazing. I'm doing great. And yes, I am half Canadian. So
Oh, and the best half, I'm sure. What part of Canada?
for sure. Kingston, Ontario.
Oh, Kingston. I've been there a few times myself. Visited the not so lovely prisons. I was a prison
Nope,
guard for 12 years, so
no
I went and
way. Yeah.
visited those prisons just to see what I was getting myself into.
Yeah,
Pretty much
they're
the most
intense
famous
there,
thing.
man.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, no, it's beautiful. I love it. My family has a little lake cottage near there. So it's been a part of my upbringing my whole life. I would spend like 3 months out of every year there, and I lived there back and forth till I was about like four.
And it's a beautiful part of the country too. I mean, lots of like open water and just lots of fishing and boating and all that good stuff. Not like the
Oh
city
yeah.
where it's bumper to bumper traffic and construction and
Mhm.
just general anger all together here in Toronto. So
Yeah.
just
I know,
anger.
I was just there to play Canadian Music Week, and it was, like, nuts. I'd never really, like, spent time there, like, trying to get around, and yeah, I mean, it's, like, the same in LA, but I don't know, different at the same time.
For 45 years I've been in this city and I've never seen anything like this in my life. It's just unbelievable. But and I can't wait for the winter because it's just gonna get better here, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
1000%.
Goodness.
So Chloe, I've been doing some research on you today. I see that I guess you classify yourself as a folk slash pop artist. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
so let's
yeah.
start there. I mean, who was your inspiration? Are you more on the folk music? Or are you more on the pop? Did you have one of both each? I'm very curious.
Right, yeah. I would say definitely more pop, but I definitely have like the singer-songwriter, like storytelling, folky, somewhat organic quality to my music, and some songs more than others. The focus track on my EP, The Awakening Volume 2, that just came out, is called Another Best Friend. That song is definitely more on like the folk pop end of things, but for the most part, it's kind of this pop combination of the organic and the electronic and the influences that I grew up with, which was a lot of 70s inspo, huge like Fleetwood Mac fan, mixed with like kind of like the 90s, 2000s, which is when I was absolutely growing up. So there's kind of like some of those vibes in my music, and I call it like a new Southern California sound. I grew up in a melting pot of culture, and I would like to say that my music makes you kind of want to drive down the coast and has a
With the
warmth
top
to it.
down.
With the top down, yeah, it definitely has. I feel like its own like warmth to it, and hopefully honesty. I think that comes from here. So
Well,
yeah.
before you jumped on, I was actually listening to Another Best Friend and watching the video. And what I found was, yes, it made me smile. It was one of those songs where like you couldn't help but just kind of be like relaxed. Like
Yeah.
I guess part of it was the video of you sitting, and just you just look totally at peace. I mean,
Yeah.
like, like so it's really hard not to say like, wow, she's just totally happy and just singing a song out there in wherever she is. So
Yeah.
um it's a beautiful song, very, very, very nice, very kind song.
Thank
But
you.
my question about that song is at the very end of the video, the music stops, and I see that you're mouthing some lyrics.
Oh,
What kind of significance does that have for you?
For me, that video in general, it's probably like the simplest video that I've ever done, especially in comparison to my last couple of videos, which were very cinematic and storyline based. But for this one, it is a sad song, which is funny. I'm so glad that
Oh,
it's brought you some like
did I read
happy
it wrong? Is
because
that
like
me? I'm sorry.
no, no, I think that it's like I think that is kind of my goal with it, is that it still kind of leaves people with a sort of hope and optimism, even though it's technically sad. It's really what I'm saying in that song is like, I don't want to lose another best friend. Like I'm not scared of love necessarily, but like no one really talks about the best friend side of a relationship when we lose it. It's all, you know, a lot of the, especially breakup songs that you hear, it's like, I miss you and blah, blah, blah. But it's like not necessarily focused on the idea that we lose two people in one. And
Okay.
every time we start over, right, we like have to go from ground zero and we learn each other's deepest secrets and or get those inside jokes. And I think for me, that was the hardest part to lose and potentially lose again. And so that's kind of where that song was inspired from. But ultimately, you know, it really became a song for me of like, okay, yes, we have the possibility of loss, but we also have the possibility of like, you know, it leading us to exactly where we're supposed to be.
Okay.
Um, and really, that's true, right? Every person that you meet helps us, you know, dive deeper into ourselves and realize what we want. And it's all part of our journey. And that's what I realized after writing that song and healing from my breakups and stuff. And so that's kind of what I hope it brings somebody, you know, and every time I play that song live, like at a show, of course I get the people that are crying and they've recently gone through something. And but I always kind of share with them that kind of, I guess, lesson that I learned from it too, and to like have gratitude for that relationship. That's what actually helped me heal more than anything. So hopefully, that light kind of comes through that song, even though it was written at a really like vulnerable time.
Okay. All right.
but
So So as a songwriter, like I'll take like Alanis Morissette for instance. She did some of her greatest work based on heartbreak and getting over and you know like Jagged Little Pill was that whole album was basically based on something like that. So as a
Sure.
songwriter yourself, are you
Mhm.
basing all of your stuff off previous you know emotions and incidents, or are you just picking an incident like you know I'm feeling like heartbreak today and I want to write about heartbreak, or like how do you what is your process?
Yeah, that's a great question. It definitely differs each time. So for Another Best Friend, for example, I mean that song was written in the depths of exactly how I was feeling that day. I was just super upset. I mean, I really was. I was like sitting on my parents' bed, like literally crying into my guitar, like post breakup. So that was very real, raw, like what I was going through. And and then I've had songs where I've gone into songwriting sessions with other people and been like, you know what, this is a great title idea, or this is a great line that I think would be awesome to write about. How do we take it from just this into something more? Or this is a great melody, and then we kind of sit and have a therapy session about what's going on in our lives to try to write something around it. There's a lot of different methods that I've used, and I think that's like what makes songwriting really, really fun
Sure.
is that it's
Yeah.
constantly changing. And then sometimes I've been on, you know, I go on a lot of walks, and I've talked about this in other podcasts, but for me, like that's where I ground myself. And I'm really lucky that I get to live by the beach, and the water gives me inspiration. And I'll just be walking sometimes, and sometimes I'll have instrumental music on, or sometimes it'll be totally silent. And I'm just kind of like observing and thinking and processing things. And I'll just like get a random idea that way and write it down. For me, I really do look to the world to get inspo, but also just like I need to find that like grounding and peace to like look within too and be still.
Right.
Um, and when I don't have that, I notice that I'm not as at peace for sure. You
Makes
know,
sense. Makes sense.
it's
And
easy to get like caught up, I guess.
the way that when I talk to people like yourself who have the gift like this, I generally enjoy asking about how they get their inspiration. Just yesterday, I interviewed a poet who's on the Podstarz site, and I asked
Mhm.
him the same question. And then I had a comedian the day before that, and it's incredible to see how everybody has the same vision. Like
Yeah.
they want to be successful and they want to write about something that means something to them, but they
Mhm.
all draw inspiration from such different places, and it's just
Sure.
that's one of the great things about the Podstar site is like
Yeah.
you can talk to a little bit of everybody. You can talk to a little bit of everything, and
Mhm.
I'm so glad to have this opportunity to talk to you guys and kind of pick your brains because
Yeah.
I have zero musical talent. I have zero comedic talent. I couldn't write a poem if my life depended on it. So it's great to talk to you guys and pick your brains and figure out where I went wrong.
No, 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 no. Yeah, I think that's the thing is like you can draw creativity from so many places, and even people that don't typically think that they are creative, they just like they have this idea of like what creativity means, and oh, it means that you must be able to write a song, or you must be able to be good at illustration, but like technically we are all creators. Every day we're
Something.
creating,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, I mean, for me, I definitely have learned that I've learned the things that bring me the most inspo, and some of them have nothing to do with music at all, you know. And like I said, it's going on walks, it's cooking, it's, you know, using my creativity in other ways, or watching other creatives create is super inspiring. Looking at somebody's artwork, I mean, I love when I go to like a studio, particularly, and there's artwork, because if you have writer's block, it's awesome to like look at a piece of art and be like, well, what does this mean? You know, I wonder what this artist was thinking, and I could totally create a story based on this. And that's always really fun and kind of beautiful when art inspires art. Or like, you know, I know I keep going back to Another Best Friend, but one of the really cool parts about that song is that the bridge, it was inspired by a TikTok comment that I saw. And
Oh,
it wasn't even on my video. I was watching a video about, it was a girl that was talking about how she's gotten like really good at being alone. And I, you know, just kind of like harping on that idea. And someone commented, you know, like kind of like part of me doesn't want to start something so that it doesn't end again, or you know what I mean. And I thought that was such an interesting way to say something that we've all felt, and so I put it in
sure.
my bridge of my song, because that's exactly how I was feeling at the time. Was like half of me wants to love, but half of me doesn't want to start in case it ends, and I wasn't really ready for that at the time. So yeah, you just never know what you're gonna get info from.
Yeah, no, totally understand. I don't even know where I was influenced to get Podstars, and here we are talking. So you're right. We are creators, one in just in a different sort of fashion. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and for you, it probably is because you clearly love to have conversations, right? Like,
That's where it
because,
started, and then it morphed into something really difficult. So
yeah,
here we
I
are.
get it. I get
Yeah.
it. But you're
So
killing it.
so Chloe, musical influence wise, when you were growing up, who name put some people in a box, like who was your go-to? What CD did you burn out? Because I don't think you were in the vinyl age. I was in the vinyl age, so you were in
Yeah.
the CD age.
Yeah. Well, I definitely was in the CD age, but I do love vinyl. I'm definitely like an old soul at heart, but yeah, I mean, like I said, like a big Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks fan. I grew up listening to the Dixie Chicks, huge fan, Shania Twain, Avril, listened to her backwards and forwards, was obsessed. Gavin DeGraw, The Fray, those are some of my favorite bands. There's a lot. I mean, I was really lucky too to grow up in a super musical household. My dad's a huge music lover. He's a songwriter, and played in bands when I was growing up. And so, I mean, I got like immersed in everything. So as a kid, it was literally like Frank Sinatra, and then it was, you know, listening to the Stones, or
Right on.
you know, You Get What You Give by New Radicals, and like they're one of my favorite bands. But yeah, I definitely like a little bit of everything, which makes sense, I think, for me and my personality type too. I've always been a floater with people, and I've had my hands in a lot of different things. You know, I was a cheerleader, but I was also in choir, and you know what I mean. And so for me, it makes sense that I would find, you know, I guess grounding in multiple types of music.
Okay. And for those of people who are listening now and maybe want to book you for the podcast and maybe aren't familiar with you, but hopefully will book you because you're a talented musician. Um, have you ever heard yourself compared to an artist? Like someone says, Chloe Caroline is just like or sounds like.
Yeah, there's a couple. It's funny, a lot of people can't seem to pinpoint my voice, which I'll take as a compliment. But a couple people have. Recently, I've heard Tate McRae. I've heard Tate McRae. I've heard Gabby Barrett, which is like a country artist. Who else? Lee Nash is another one. She's from Sixpence None the Richer, that band that had the song Kiss Me. Um, Stevie Nicks, Jewel, That's another one. I feel like I've
Jewel
gotten
was
my
one that jumped out at me.
yeah, Jewel. And that makes sense a little bit too.
A lot of
Yeah,
it's the look, I would imagine. You're both
yeah.
very stunning blondes, and you have
Oh,
a
thank
very
you.
talented voice. And yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and she's kind of like a hippie, so there's
So I've
that.
heard. I think she lives in
Yeah,
Alaska, and she does some weird stuff out there. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. She's making it
Yeah,
work.
I call myself a hippie, but I feel like she's like really probably a hippie.
She's like the
Uh,
definition of the word. Yeah, absolutely,
yeah,
1000%.
you know
Yes,
what I mean?
yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So those are definitely, I would say, some artists that I've been compared to.
So growing up, before you actually decided that this was going to be it and you were going to push forward, any concerts that really brought you to the next level, like really put like an impression on you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So I would say the first two that I remember being pretty blown away by was Shania Twain and the Dixie Chicks. I remember seeing both of them. And I remember at I think it was Shania Twain. Um, there was like a proposal that happened in like the middle of her
Oh,
show.
sweet.
And I just thought that was the coolest thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, like how cool, like these people picked this moment, with this artist and this music, and it was just like that's so cool. Like I would love to be able to like be a part of other people's like special moments and
Forever. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
forever. So that was really cool and very very pivotal. I'm trying to think if there's like any other ones. I mean, again, I saw the Fray live. I think it was at the Hollywood Bowl or the Greek here in LA, and I was quite young, but it was really cool just to see somebody. I mean, the lead singer, he's the former lead singer. I guess he's not. I guess they're coming back, and he's not the lead singer anymore. But anyways, Isaac is his name. Just like blew my mind with what he could do with his voice and a piano, and like that's it. And I think like as an artist to be able to like strip everything back to nothing and have that and still just like make magic is everything.
Sure,
And
sure.
so
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
yeah, I think that also kind of like set the tone for me as an artist. Like I love to be able to, of course, I love like a full band show and it's so much fun, but I also love to be able to have like really intimate shows with just like me and a guitar or me and a guitar and a keyboard and just like really stripped down, and getting to like tell the stories behind my songs is like hugely important to me.
Very
um,
intimate feel. It sounds like you're looking for,
yeah,
an
yeah,
intimate
and
audience.
again,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And even in like a bigger show, with like a full band and stuff, like I still make sure to like tell the stories behind my songs, which a lot of artists don't always do, and that's totally cool. But like that's kind of part of my shtick. Like I love getting to share that, and I find that like when I do, people tend to be a little bit more captivated by it because
Makes
it's like, oh,
sense.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. I get where it came from, and you really get to build that like relationship like with the audience, like you're talking to a friend and you're kind of letting them in on your secrets a little bit.
Okay. I feel you. I feel you. No.
Yeah.
So any dream collaborations that you wish, even I'll even say alive or dead. How about that? Any
Yeah,
dream
yeah.
collaborations?
Well, yeah, I mean Stevie Nicks, definitely Stevie Nicks. I would love to collaborate with Harry Styles.
Really?
Yes, I love him. I think he's so talented. I think that his like the last couple albums he's done just are phenomenally produced. They're just such a great, again, like combination of real and electronic and all these different influences that I think we kind of probably both grew up with similar influences, I would say, in a lot
Sure.
of ways. Um, and so they've been able to build something really awesome. And I saw him live right before COVID actually. And it was crazy. And I've never seen a fan base that insane. Like it was like you think that like you think you've seen like crazy fans until you've been to like a Harry Styles concert. Or I'm
Really?
sure Taylor Swift as well, of
That's where
course.
I was gonna go.
Yeah, but it's still like, I mean, it's like next level, and they like know his mom, like in the audience. You know what I mean? Like they know, and they know every word. This was like the day before or the day of release, and it was the only time he's ever played like the record, like forwards and backwards, basically. And it was like a special show that he did, and they knew every single word to every single song, including the guitar solo. They were singing it. Like it was just like, wow, like this is like next level stardom. And I've seen Taylor live, not like recently, but like it's captivating and also just super inspirational, like as an artist to see these people like that immersed in
Yeah.
somebody's art. Yeah.
When people get behind you, you I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes at concerts I've been to. I haven't been to Taylor or Harry, but I've seen it myself where people are just like as soon as the lights go down, it's like it's game time. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
they're good to go. So it's a beautiful thing to watch. I'm kind of guilty of it myself. So
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying. I know that feeling of seeing that artist up there and saying like I'm
Mhm.
actually here. Like I'm not close enough to touch you. That's
Yeah.
creepy, but I'm close enough that I actually enjoy the show and to hear the music live. And
Yeah.
you put that special spin on it when I guess when you're on stage, and it's a beautiful thing. And like it's great that you guys have this talent that you can bring to us and make us
Mhm.
feel these things, even though like some of your songs may be about heartbreak, they're still
Right.
beautiful and they still make you smile like they do me, which
Yeah.
I still think is odd that it's about heartbreak and I smiled, but
Yeah, no,
uh,
I think that's so cool. I mean, and for me, like that is kind of my goal with my music is like to bring more like light and positivity and honesty, I think, and truth. And hopefully it brings more connection too, because obviously when you're authentic like that and people can relate to it, they tend to feel more comfortable like expressing themselves too, right? So I think that's like kind of the coolest thing about it. And I've been surprised too, like at my shows where people that I never thought would maybe listen to my music, they just don't seem like the demo, you
right.
know, are there and are, either excited or like I said, like very emotionally touched by something. And it's so cool. Or even on social media, like I've seen people where you're just like, oh, I would never guess that you'd be a fan of my music. Like,
Sure.
and ever, you know what I mean? Like you're a dude and that like drives motorcycles and you're playing basketball with your buddies and like what? Like, just okay.
That's what
But
gets you hyped.
yeah, exactly.
I think that YouTube and obviously Spotify and Apple Music, social media, I think that has brought in obviously people who may not have gotten their music out in front of a certain demographic. Obviously,
Mhm.
that all helps. So I had a female hip hop artist who we can also book on the Podstarz website.
Yeah.
Her name is Kelda Music,
Ooh,
and I was talking to her about the whole social media slash Spotify thing with artists such as yourself, and
mhm.
how it's so much harder now for you guys to make a living off of just your
Right.
music because the Spotify is like, I mean, I don't even know how to describe it other than you guys are getting ripped
Yeah.
off, I guess is the
Yeah.
best way to put it. So other than the fact that people do have that access to you and that you do reach different demographics, is it
Mhm.
harder? Is it more difficult because you have to work so much harder to make more money to make this a lifetime goal, being a
Right.
musician?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it definitely forces you, I guess if you choose to look at it like this, to take other creative liberties, I guess, and search for those other opportunities. I mean, for me, I've had to get like very tenacious. And again, I think I would probably do that anyways because it honestly helps me be a better writer and I'm just interested in doing other creative things. But like whether it's writing for film and TV or working with brands to brainstorm together on how to create and collaborate, where you're both winning there financially a little bit, and
Sure.
growing your fan bases or starting your own merch. Like there's a lot of different ways you can go about it. And again, it's like partially it's unfortunate that you have to rely on that. But it's also kind of a cool opportunity too. That's at least what I tell myself. I
That's
do
the best
think
way to
it
do it.
yeah, I do think it is a cool opportunity, but I also do wish that, that there was another way to get compensated. But at the end
Right.
of the day, like it is a choice that we make as artists to do this career, and I feel like I'm really lucky to do it, but it's also something that I am choosing. Like I have a business degree. I could go get a normal job and
Oh,
do
who
that.
wants that?
But yeah,
Uh,
but for me, like I'm choosing this. And some days, when I'm in writing sessions with friends, it's like, this is so fun. And, are we working? Does it take brain power? And especially when you're an artist releasing a song, oh my God, I can't even tell you just like how many hours I spend just trying to one get the word out there, whether it's creating my own content or emailing people or finding a different outlet for it or doing my artist admin. Like it's endless. It doesn't end. But at the same time, like I get to do that. I get to create, and like that's
sure.
kind of a joke. I mean, it is like I get to sit there and like talk about my love life and write about it and call it a job. So like there's that too. But I do think, yeah, oftentimes like the artists do get exploited, especially when or writers, when there's billions of streams on a song and you're walking away with like next to nothing.
Sure. And I'll bring up the same point I brought up to Cal the Music was when I was a kid, being in Canada, going down to HMV or Sam the Record Man and grabbing 4 or 5 CDs for
Yeah,
$100. The
right,
artist knew that they were getting $17 out of that, CD cut or whatever.
right.
Whereas now, an artist who is top as you can get, a Snoop Dogg, comes out
Hmm.
and says, like, I'm not making any money off my streams, and yet you guys say I'm one of the most streamed artists in the world. So I mean,
Right.
I just can't imagine how difficult it is for
Yeah.
people coming up trying to get. I mean, again,
Mhm.
getting recognized and getting played and
Yeah,
walk. It's great, but
right.
compensation and fairness to the artist is also something
Sure.
that should be looked at for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and even just like trying to chase down like where your money is. I mean,
Yeah,
that's a super real thing. I've been dealing with it, and it's incredibly frustrating because you also know that like as an independent artist, unless you have gazillions of dollars to spend on a lawyer, you're gonna probably get hosed. It's just like, and they get taken advantage of. But I don't know. It's a really it's a tough business. It's not for the faint of heart. And just all that goes into being able to like promote your own music. I mean, I'm gonna promote it more than anybody. Even if I had a record label that was like funding things, I'm still out there like trying to, I'm the face of it. I'm going to care more than them. And one, if I don't, that's probably an issue. But it's true. Like you have to kind of put everything you have into it, and you're competing against labels. I mean, even when I release a song on a Friday, if Taylor's releasing a song on a Friday, like that technically is your competition. I'm not a competitive person. I don't really look at it like that. But it is like you're fighting for spots on
sure,
playlists,
sure.
they have way more access to than you, or ad budgets, like things like that. But it's cool when you find people, and whether it's a radio station that's willing to take a risk on you and play or risk whatever, take a
Right.
chance and play your music. And when that happens, it's so cool because more of it should happen. Truly. There's like Alt 98.7 here in LA. They have a segment called She is the Voice, and they play female artists, independent and label artists. But they choose to do that every like Friday night, at 8 p.m. And it's just such a cool thing. And they give you the same intros, if not cooler intros, than they would give you regularly. And that's amazing. And I hope that I urge other radio stations like that, or brands that like love music and have a passion to support artists to try to incorporate that into their social media.
You should put that on a t-shirt because,
Yeah.
like, I'm telling you right now, like, I love the radio, I love terrestrial radio, but there's only so much of The Weekend and Drake and, the same 15, 17 songs, and, like, it really starts to get wear on me, and that's when I flip to my podcasts is because,
Yeah.
yeah, I know for a fact I'm gonna hear this song in 25 minutes on this other station too, so, yeah,
Right.
diversity, I mean, uh,
Mhm.
mix it up a bit. I mean, I love the
Yeah.
idea of there's an entire hour dedicated to just
Mhm.
indie females or indie
Yeah.
males or
Mhm.
indie dogs and cats. Either way,
Yes.
different, something different. I'm praying.
Something different. It's so
Yes.
true. And there's a station in Nashville that's called Lightning 100, and like they play a lot of everything from like independent artists to, again, like regular label artists, but also just kind of like underground artists that wouldn't normally necessarily be on the radio. And I've discovered like so much music through listening to their station, and it's kind of like mind blowing that there isn't more of that. And kind of sad. I mean, you have like KCRW, which still does some of that stuff, but there's not a lot of that. And people are like, oh, radio's dead, but it's not
No.
honestly. It's not. It still has a lot of power to it, and there are still a lot of people regularly driving in their cars every single day that do listen to it. So yeah, I still have hope for it.
Yeah, especially in Toronto when you're stuck in traffic for 4 hours. It's great to listen to the radio and hear the same song 9 times in that drive to work.
Right, exactly.
So, Chloe, I'm going to let you go, but thank you so much for coming on the show. And again, you're one of the first people who took a chance on Podstarz. So, thank you so much for being one of the first people to realize what we're trying to do here and what we're trying to build.
Yeah.
I ask that everybody who is a music podcaster, a sports podcaster, a comedy podcaster, change up your shows. Reach out to a different kind of guest. Talk to
Mhm.
somebody different. Put some new life into your podcast and
Yeah.
diversify. Be different. Don't be
Yeah.
the same as. If you want to be a successful podcaster, the best way is to diversify. Be something different than everybody else. And
Yeah.
talking to an up and coming artist that I guarantee is going to blow up, and you will see this podcast interview and you say Podstars was the first to have her on a platform like this. So thank you so
Yeah.
much, Chloe. I wish you all the best. We will talk again soon. And
Um,
welcome to the Podstars family. And thank you for taking a chance on us.
yeah, thank you so much. I love what you guys are
Oh,
doing.
before I let you go though, where are you going to be and promote anything you would like to promote? I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's see. Well, I'm going to be in Florida. I'm going to be playing at Island Hopper, which is a music festival. It's a songwriters festival in Florida in September. I think it's like the 26th to the 30th, in like Fort Myers area for anybody who might be in Florida. It's a really, really, really fun festival. There's hugely successful songwriters who I can guarantee you have written probably some of your most favorite songs that are there, like playing and telling the stories behind those songs that they've written, and other artists like myself. So that's a really fun event that I'm playing next. I just played a big show at the Troubadour here in LA. That was really exciting. So I'll definitely have some bigger shows in the fall coming up now that my EP is out. But yeah, I'm all over socials. So hit me up on Instagram at Chloé Caroline, TikTok, I'm Chloé Caroline. I'll always hit you back, or I'll do my best to. It's kind of like a big thing of mine. And check out my EP, The Awakening Volume 2, that just came out.
Yes, and I have to say you're amazing on Instagram because not only do you have a great page, but you do respond to your fans and to people
Yeah,
who are DMing you asking you to join weird podcasts websites.
yeah,
So thank you so much. So there
of
you go,
course.
folks.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, yes, and I do have a podcast called
There you
Unwritten.
go.
So definitely check it out. I co-host it with another really awesome female, and we love just having really honest conversations and trying to spread more positivity. So come
There
on.
there you go, folks. She's got a podcast, she's got YouTube, she's got Instagram, she's got Twitter, she's got all that good stuff, and she's very talented. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again, Chloe Caroline. It's been an honor, and we will talk again soon. So, thank you so
I'm
much
not
again.
Good
scared of
plan.
love, not
Okay,
scared of
bye for
Thanks.
now.
death.